What is up, everybody? Hey, I am here to tell you 3 tips to make your budget meeting a success. That phrase, budget meeting, can strike fear into the likes of some people. Who in their right mind wants to sit down and spend 10, 15 minutes every week or every month going over the spreadsheet of numbers, deciding how much money we have to spend, how much money we have to save? That just sounds like a nightmare to some people. To other people, it sounds like a lot of fun because guess what? We get to look at numbers. We get to experiment with how much money we can put towards debt or put towards retirement or save, or in some cases, how little we had to work with this month. Let's be quite honest, that is the case sometimes. Either way, implementing a budget is a huge component of your success. So I want to make sure that you have a good experience with your budget meeting and that you do it in a way that actually proves successful. Tip number 1. Always do your budget meeting with your spouse, significant other. Now, it seems like common sense, but you'd be amazed at how many people will write up a budget and then expect their spouse to go along with it. Well, guess what? That usually does not work, and here's why. Because it's one person's idea and 2 people have not agreed upon it. So when there's 2 people that are supposed to be doing the plan of one person, usually the other person doesn't go along with it. They're not fully invested into it. So you always want to be sure that you have your budget meeting and you complete your budget with your spouse, with your significant other, your accountability partner if you're single, somebody who is going to be invested and committed to not only making this work, but also being a part of that spending, that saving. You and your spouse are working off of the same money, so you need to be sure that you both are in agreement and understanding of how that money is to be spent and saved and budgeted. So that's step number 1. Step number 2, you gotta make the budget meeting quick. My wife and I are guilty of having long budget meetings because I'm a bit of a nerd, she's more the free spirit, but we have just enough of the other person's personality that we want to be sure we walk through every little detail of it. This can be good, but in some cases it's too much. Really, the ideal time frame to put to a budget meeting is about 15 minutes at the very most. Now, at first, it's going to take longer than this, and you're going to have more meetings each month as you try to work out all the kinks and details. But 15 minutes is really about as much time as you can consciously put to the numbers without getting tired, without getting overwhelmed, without, just saying, heck with it. We're not going to mess with it. So 10 to 15 minutes, that's how much time you need to spend to it. The third step, be willing to compromise. Like we talked about before, it takes 2 people in a marriage or in most situations to make a budget actually work. And if one person isn't either on board or in agreement or sees the point of it or invested with it, I promise you, it's not going to work. The budget's going to get broken or it's not going to get followed. The person that made the budget's going to get all upset and aggravated because they were trying to stick to it and the other person doesn't even care. So you have to be in agreements with it. But there's some times when even though you both are working on it, one person wants one thing, the other person wants another thing. Guess what? You got to figure out how to make that work. You got to figure out how to come together and implement the plan in a way that you both agree with. Now that may be, spending more money on one month in an area than another. It may be saving up for a trip sometime. For my wife and I, sometimes it's that we have to watch how much we spend on some of our hobbies, or we have to allocate more money to a trip, something like that. But you have to be willing to give and take. If one person is creating the budget and they insist upon getting what they want every single time, the other person is going to start saying, you know what, I don't care, I'm just going to do whatever I want, and your budget's going to fall apart. So you have to be willing to work together to find an agreement on how to make that budget work, how to work on it as a team. If you can't do that, no matter how many budgets you do, you're never going to follow through with them. So those are my 3 points. Do it together, make it short, and be open-minded, be willing to actually agree upon that. You implement those 3 steps, and I promise you, your budget meeting will be more successful, more productive, more enjoyable, and as a result, you will win with money and gain financial freedom. If you need help getting that budget started, look us up. We'll be glad to sit down with you and help you walk through the process of accomplishing your budget, your dreams, and your finances, and making your behavior be that of productive money management.